Welcome to Talk is Sheep, a podcast by the Wild Sheep Society of British Columbia. Join us as we cover conservation updates, tips, and tricks to campfire chats.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, and another day, another podcast, hey?
Yeah, and what a weekend. This is coming out on March the 12th, Friday. We have our Wild Sheep Salute to Conservation tonight. Today's showtime.
No pressure, though, hey? You can't really tell that you're balding and you're pulled out all your hair, or what is it? Is that gray hair showing up, or?
Good times. Yeah, no, it's we've been working on this a long time, and I'm really excited about the show tonight. It's there's going to be a lot going on, and I'm pretty stoked actually.
Well, we've been building this a year, right? When we were in Kamloops last year, it was okay. Well, what do we do next year if this is still going on? So it all comes down to, well, hours away when this is released, hours away. So the ball's now in the bidder's court, we'll say.
Yeah, so over to wildsheepsociety.com, get registered if you haven't already. Jetstream jacket for a door prize for nothing. You can register for nothing, and then if you want to put some money on the ground for conservation, give us $20 or $100, and that's going to elevate. Get a few extra things for that. You can have unlimited access to the content. $20 donation, you get a chance to win a Yeti cooler as a door prize, and if you want to go up to $100, you got really good odds at winning a very cool Stone Glacier backpack. It's $900,000 value. So definitely great time to support conservation. The show is going to be a lot of fun. We got some really cool speakers. And we got some cool giveaways. We're going to draw our WSR winners on Saturday night, and actually tomorrow, on the 13th, we're going to announce our new raffle. And
this one's amazing. Like,
I'm really excited.
Stoked for this one. I definitely got to get tickets for this one. This is something we haven't had before, like this style, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we had a similar one to this in our first year as our Wild Sheep raffle years ago.
Yeah, similar, but this one's, there's a little bit more to this one.
Yeah, so one of our guests on the show, Ben Beryakoff, he's been on here before with Canadian Wildlife Capture. Ben's a Monarch member of the Wild Sheep Society BC, a massive supporter, always doing the good work for conservation. He's 2% certified, a guy that gives back. Yeah, he's the real deal. So Ben reached out a few months back and he says, let's raise some serious money for wild sheep. I'm like, well, what do you got in mind? And he goes, how about a fully guided Roosevelt elk hunt with Coastal Inlet Adventures in British Columbia, renowned for world-class Roosevelt bulls. If you're going to shoot a big bull in BC, that's where you're going to kill it.
Oh, they're huge there. Huge there. I remember growing up, we had a cabin in Powell River, and we'd see these elk roaming around before there were seasons. It was just this is a once in a lifetime. This is a draw that you're going to get a chance to win.
It's super exciting. So yeah, Ben reached out. He goes, I'm going to personally guide the hunt, and I'm going to get Canadian Wildlife Capture to donate it. So this is a fully donated hunt from Canadian Wildlife Capture, guided by Ben Beryakoff with Coastal Inlet Adventures. Hunt of a lifetime. There's only 1,000 tickets available. Your odds are very good on it. Tickets are $50 a piece. And we're going to run this through until August. It'll be drawn in August.
It's a guide, for the season.
And it's just this fall, exactly. It's November 1st to 10th, 2021. And this is really appealing for us British Columbians. A lot of these guided hunts are appealing to foreigners. But in BC, how tough is it to get a Roosevelt draw? And certainly one in a coveted area like this. You can't get them, right? It's the odds are so slim. I've been putting in for Roosevelt ever since I've been hunting here in BC, and I've never got drawn, right? I put in for areas known for better odds, or lower odds, but fantastic hunt, and yeah, definitely want to get tickets on that. So that's available Saturday. Go to our website,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be under our raffles tab, and you can get tickets on that hunt. So fantastic.
Oh yeah, and just like everything else, every single dollar stays right here in BC and goes to on the ground projects. What was our total dollars in 2020 that went to on the ground from raffles like this?
Yeah, 270,000 is what, through
Yeah,
collectively we did, and that's a lot. And again, you say it all the time, Steve. It just doesn't help the sheep. It helps
everything.
all the species, right? Stuff we hunt, stuff we don't hunt, everything benefits from it. So yeah, it's across the board. Absolutely, cause couldn't be better, and yeah, pretty exciting raffle. So
Yeah,
stoked about that.
badgers to butterflies, and mule deer to stone sheep. Right? It's just because it says Wild Sheep Society doesn't mean everything else doesn't benefit when we do projects like this. So, yeah, stoked for this one, and I can't wait to get my tickets.
Right on. Okay, episode 24, I believe we're up to.
It is.
Um, yeah, hard to believe. It's been a wicked ride. We've had lots of great feedback from you guys. Keep the ideas coming. We want to hear who you want to see on the show. Um, but this one's really cool. We're sitting down with Tanner Dannish from Frontiersman Gear. They're doing some fantastic work in the custom knife world in British Columbia. We've partnered with them on the Stony, which we talk about on the show. And Tanner brings up a lot of really cool aspects of the knife making world, and some really good, relevant, everyday stuff that you need to know: how to treat your knife in the field, how to take care of it, what to do in the off season. What kind of knife you probably want to take on a sheep hunt, that sort of stuff. So
What not to
really good
do.
information. Yeah, what not to do. Yeah,
What not
exactly.
to open. What not to
Yeah,
open with a knife.
well said. Yeah, I was taking notes the whole time, and it's because I'm gonna, he mentioned, what you want to be using for a sharpening stone in the field, and I've never used that, and I realize now I need to invest in something a little. There we
In
go.
one of
So
those. I already
yeah,
Googled it.
right on. So yeah,
So,
that's on my list of things to get for this fall for sure. So awesome.
15 bucks.
That's
15
it, eh?
bucks is all those cost, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
wicked, and basically nothing for weight. So
no.
yeah, it's fantastic. All right, so episode 24, Tanner Danish, Frontiersman Gear. Enjoy.
Across Canada and throughout the world, if you come across a campfire in the woods, on a mountaintop, or next to a river, you'll find warm company and friendly people gathered around. Regardless of your lifestyle or place you call home, we invite you to learn more about what it means to be a hunter in the modern era. If you love the outdoors, care about where your food comes from, and are concerned for the future of wildlife and the environments that they need to survive, pull up a seat. We have a story to tell. Welcome to our campfire.
Good morning from our two beautiful Prince George. Tanner, how's things with you?
Yeah, it's doing great. Thanks for having me on, Kyle. It's doing nice here. Our weather's finally turned around, so that's a big
Yeah,
bonus.
it certainly has. I forgot you're in Prince George, aren't you? Yeah, yeah, 8 degrees today
You
or
guys two
today.
together. If it wasn't for COVID, you guys could hang out and have a cocktail and a breakfast cocktail and have a chat about knives. So.
I'm like, cocktail.
Yeah,
It's too late in the morning for that.
yeah.
Are you in your studio there, Tanner? It looks like you might be in the house.
Yeah. It's just office that we have down here, where hang the heads and stuff like that.
Right on. Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming on the show. You're doing a ton of great work in the knife making community. Certainly made a name for yourself really quick early on here, and the one thing that really stood out for me is your support for conservation groups as well. So really excited to see the work that you're doing, see the products that you're building. I've got one of your lightweight mountain knives, and now we've partnered on this new knife making venture that you supported us on through presenting the Stony. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit here. But I'd like to our listeners to get to know you a little bit, and I know that you're a dyed-in-the-wool hunter, and talk about some of your experiences as well before we kind of jump into the knife stuff. So, if you don't mind, Tanner, do you want to just talk a little bit about you and kind of your upbringing and how you got to where you are today, specifically with the knife thing?
Okay, yeah. So my name's Tanner Dannish. I grew up kind of in the Dawson Creek area. My mom and dad, they came from up in Norman Wells in the Northwest Territories. So kind of before we could even walk, we were in the Mackenzie Mountains on horseback or by bush plane or something like that. And we actually, it was kind of cool. We got to take our first steps on the Mackenzie Mountains, like my brother and myself. So that's, we kind of had it bred right into us, didn't have much of a choice. But no, I cut my teeth hunting elk in the Peace Country area. And that's kind of my fallback. I always like going back there and doing that. Um, but hunting was just always kind of a part of our life, and there wasn't really wasn't really a choice, especially up in the Northwest Territories. I mean, they hunted for sustenance up there, and that's all it was. So I mean, they didn't have much of a choice when you have a barge coming in the summer and then an ice road you can get out on usually once in the winter. So hunting's just a part of life, in my opinion.
Very cool. So
Uh,
you grew up doing that, and then you grew up in the Dawson Creek? So now you're in Prince George. Obviously, there's a move there somewhere. Have you been there a long time, or how does that work?
well, I went to joined the army and I spent a stint there. When I got out, I really had no direction and kind of just jumped back in the oil field that I kind of grew up doing, and ended up in Grand Prairie moving rigs and doing all kinds of stuff there. And then that's where I met my girlfriend. And then I've kind of been actually chasing after her wherever she's been going to school for her RN nursing. So we were down at Kamloops for a year and a half, and just didn't like it. It wasn't our deal. You know, it was really nice, but for myself wanting to hunt, it was very foreign, that kind of country down there. And, you know, it was weird. Got out a couple times and I shot a buck and little button buck the first year we were down there. And then I ended up just driving up here all the time to go hunting, and just turned into, you know, you get a gas bill at the end of the month and it makes you cringe. So Kennedy got offered a position at the school here to finish her RN program. So we ended up coming up here. It's kind of a nice halfway point for us, where I can still head north and go hunting there pretty comfortably, and can kind of venture into some new fun stuff, kind of getting into the mountain goat hunting down on the coast. And then we're going to run up for caribou next year up north. So yeah, it's nice. It's a nice spot. It's a good in between place for us.
Right on. Yeah, after chasing those massive elk, or 200-inch whitetails around the farm fields in that country, it's been a shock going and hunting button buck in the interior, right? So different environment.
Yeah, you know, kind of traded willow bushes for sagebrush, and didn't really know what the hell was going on. So, um, no, it's nice. I like going back home and hunting there. I'm comfortable there, so it's good.
Right on. So you mentioned chasing goats. What did you do this past fall? What did you end up doing there for a hunt?
I didn't chase goats last year. Just got too busy with elk. I was like 20 24 days in the field last year, September 1st, and basically got out of there like the 28th and only taking a few days off. So I was pretty worn out and didn't really feel like going after general open goats, and didn't have a draw. So I kind of just shrugged that off. But the year before that, we had went off an LEH tag down on the coast after in a really good goat spot, a really hard to draw tag, and had a great hunt. Didn't connect with a billy, which was completely personal error. It was not at the fact that they're not being goats, and was a good learning lesson. So um, yeah, definitely next year we'll go back after general open if I don't pull a tag on a goat.
Nice. Any sheep hunts on the agenda? Or have you been out chasing sheep yet? Or
I definitely want to this year. We're running up north to go on a. Actually, it's going to be a hike and caribou hunt, and we've got word that there's some legal stones in there, so we'll see what happens. I've been putting off chasing them because I know I'm pretty sure once I start chasing them that everything else is going to take a back burner, and my business might start hurting because of it. So, well, I want to get my business established first before I get the sheep bug too bad.
yeah, probably not a bad idea for sure. So,
No.
okay, cool. So, can you talk a little bit about the genesis of your knife making? I know you had a mentor and an influencer in your life. I believe his name was Ken, and was really influential in your work there. Can you talk about your early interest in it, like when this when this bug hit you? Was it, in your when you're a young boy, or is it something a little bit later on? How did that work? Your interest in it?
Well, actually, I Ken was gracious enough that he brought my brother and myself in. We were such good family friends when I was about 10, and got to build my first knife with him then and design the whole thing. And you know, he was all about the full custom builds also. So it was really cool and really set the foundation for being creative and building stuff. And my mom was always building pottery or doing photography or stuff like that. So we were just used to building stuff and doing things like that. But it ended up just as we were growing up, just I don't know if you just lose interest in stuff. I was playing hockey and all this other stuff, and it drifted off. And then, so what happened was I actually pretty much forgot about it. And then when I got out of the army, we were living down in Kamloops, and I went out to visit Ken again one time, and he said basically that he was done and he's written off knife making. His eyes are no good, his hands are failing, that kind of thing. And I just was curious and asked him if he had ever taught anybody, and he said no. And I thought it was kind of a crime to have 40 years of experience get just washed away. So by the time we had left, it took some convincing, but I convinced him to do an apprenticeship with myself. And then, so over 8 months, I ended up going out there every weekend for 8 months and did my apprenticeship with him. And he was very thorough about stuff and wasn't happy unless it was perfect, which was great. And it basically just sparked, yeah, re-sparked it, I guess, for myself and really grew my interest back into it. And then once I kind of picked it up again, it turned into an avalanche, just started rolling and rolling into the other side, like with ultralights and with everything else that I'm trying to do. And it kind of is a burning flame that's I can't really put out at all, even though it'd be nice to put it out for the odd weekend and take a weekend off, but it doesn't seem to happen.
Fantastic. So, um, on that note, then let's jump into the knife aspect of it. And so you started out, you did the apprenticeship program. How, what's involved in the entire process, I guess, really. And I guess let's start off high level about your knife making philosophy. So obviously you had that mentorship, and obviously you talked about the custom experience and perfection, obviously. But what's your kind of philosophy or take on knife building, just in general, from a high level aspect, I guess, really, Tanner?
So my business, I've built it all around this completely custom, completely handmade slogan. But for myself, more than anything, and every day I'm kind of pushing more that direction of building, trying to find a breach between art and a usable tool that you can actually take out and beat the crap out of and rely on, but also bringing that art side into it. I mean, Ken, he built, it was all custom stuff, and a lot of it was really cool, but it was all like function was number one. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if it didn't really look good or if maybe this didn't fit. It was 100% function, which was a great learning point for myself to build a base off of and then go into the more artsy side of it. And it's knife making is such a, seems like there's lots of people that pick it up as a hobby and kind of, they start making knives on their free time and this and that. But it was it was important to myself to have just an extremely high quality of product to bring to people, built here in BC, where a lot of the high end knife makers are all down in the States, and they're great at what they do and everything like that. But it's you just don't have, I don't think, you don't have, you don't see it as much up here, and it just was really important to me to bring that quality up here.
So on that note, what would you say some of the things that you do that stand out in terms of quality? So you, as an example, if I go into a local store and I buy a knife like a buck or whatever, and compare it to something that you're building, what are the major differences there? Obviously, there's a custom aspect of it, but
Yeah.
what are some of the things that stand out with your product that you wouldn't get from something over the counter?
Um, I think the biggest step, which is always the first, is the actual steel quality itself. So we work with a few different steels. I primarily use Nitro V. It's called. It's a really high end steel that's just it, it's when you look at tool steels and carbon steels and stuff like that, that a lot of big manufacturers use. It's really easy to make blades out of because it's really soft prior to heat treat. So it's they can maneuver it, or if they're punching it out of a big blank thing of steel or anything like that, it's easy for them to use, and ease equals profits for them, and I totally understand why they do it. But when you start getting into the custom side or the handmade side, you can start working with higher end super steels like Nitro V, LMAX, M390, stuff like that. There's qualities to that steel, that tool, that are no different. I always relay knife making back to gunsmithing and building rifles, and it's the same thing. Like, I mean, a barrel's made out of steel regardless, but if it's tuned and tweaked properly, that's the
Mm-hmm.
difference between a high end rifle, your base model, whatever you put the model in. I don't want to dirt anybody on here, but so I mean, steel's the biggest one. Steel's a big one, and then the kind of the two other ones, in my opinion, are geometry of how that handle
Mm-hmm.
feels, how that the knife is built to feel like an extension of your body, and not to sound all
Mm-hmm.
hippie about it or anything like that. But it should, like, you shouldn't get hand fatigue from it if you're using it all day, if you're relying on it to survive, if it's cold, or you're breaking an animal down that's, you start breaking a big moose down, and it's not a half an hour deal. It's multiple hours holding that knife and cutting stuff. And um, by, like, myself, when we go through a build process and we talk about, is someone right-handed, left-handed, or do you have big hands, small hands, it's all going to make a difference for how that knife is built to you, and it makes a difference for how it feels and how comfortable it is. And then kind of the last thing is, I always try and talk to people about, is blade geometry of it. So when you I don't. I'll probably bore people here and start putting them to
No.
sleep if I explain it too much. But um, when you grind a knife, the bevel on a knife, you're taking steel down and creating basically a primary edge.
Right.
And a lot of big companies, that you like, big box companies, um, they're going to leave it very thick because they're not worrying about overheating anything, and they have a CNC machine that's just
Mm-hmm.
blasting the steel off, and then they put a grind on it and they ship it out, and it kind of is what it is. But you these super steels, you can take them so thin at the primary edge before you sharpen them, that it creates a knife um, that you can really rely on. And let's say you're breaking a sheep down or an elk or anything like that, you can actually use the steel for what it's made for and put it to work, and that edge is going to stay, really, really sharp for a long time because of geometry. And that's it, angles and everything like that. Like, I mean, I have formulas for every blade that we build in every shape, and it should have a certain angle, and that's going to depend how much you grind it and the bevels and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that. So there's kind of a whole math side of it that can go into it also, that you're just not going to get in the big box stores or anything like that. You really got to find someone custom that knows what they're doing to do it.
So that was one of my, a latter question, but we'll jump into it now since you brought it up. Is you get a knife, you go out in the field, and obviously there's that balance between, if it's really thin, and I guess probably not the greatest steel, you run the risk of it dulling easily or getting,
Mm-hmm.
um, broken, or not broken, but damaged easily, with bone or that sort of thing. And then obviously if it's more blunt, and there's more thickness to it, it's probably going to be a little bit more durable, just the design of it.
Yeah.
Less risk of ruining that edge. But so where that really comes to mind for me is field maintenance and sharpening, right? So how do
Mm-hmm.
I manage that edge in the field? So and I you get these off the shelf sharpeners, and you just see there's just an angle on it, right? Well,
Yeah.
some of them, we know that if you got a really sharp angle, a very the geometry is such that it's a very there's not a lot of material there. Something like that, you'd have to sharpen forever to get a sharp blade, right? So I guess that's a big thing for me. Just and I know this is knives 101, but how do I keep that sharp in the field? What should I be using, and how do I maintain that edge when I'm, sure, I get home, I can do that sort of stuff. I've got all kinds of material. I know you guys offer lifetime sharpening, but what do I do in the field? And what do you recommend for guys if they're out there? What should they be carrying with them for maintenance?
No, that's a really good point, and that's another point I really want to touch on is that it doesn't matter what you make that blade of. There's no alien super steel that's come down off a meteor that will stay sharp forever. It's you're gonna have to sharpen at some point, um, and especially on elk and moose and stuff like that. If a guy makes a mistake and he's hacking against that bone or something when trying to get a quarter off, you're gonna wear that edge out. So um, myself, I sharpen often in the field. I'll sharpen like if I'm breaking, let's say a bull down, a moose or an elk or something like that. I'll set an alarm on my phone, and every 45 minutes, I always forget to drink water. So 45 minutes, take a drink of water, and it's just a couple passes, and your knife's going to be hair popping sharp again, and just that constant maintenance can keep it up. So what I really recommend is it is a work sharp pocket knife sharpener. It's a small ceramic rod
Hmm.
on the one side with diamond plate on the other. I wouldn't touch the diamond plate, but that ceramic rod, it allows you to. They have angles built into them, and it's pretty close to angles. I think they're like 22 and a half or something like that degrees. So it's pretty good. You're not going to ruin your blade by going on it a bunch. But a ceramic rod, or even they make some guys make like mini plates. I don't have any names off the top of my head, but little mini plate sharpeners. They're really small, just square. They'll weigh like, almost nothing, quarter of an ounce. And using a stone or a ceramic rod or something like that where you can maintain the angle is really what's going to something that you want to use in the field, and they weigh almost nothing. So I really try and push those pocket knife sharpeners on guys. It's a great system, and Worksharp really nailed it on the head with that.
Okay, so something like that, you're out in the field, you got an animal down. So every 45 minutes, just clean your knife off, get that out, and just run it past 3 or 4 times just to keep it up for the.
Yeah, so I'll just do a few passes on each side, and then I'll kind of look at it and make sure it's not too chipped or anything like that, and then I'll just do whatever, like maybe 5 passes each side, 4 passes, 3 passes, two, one, until you're just doing one pass on each side of that blade, and then you'll be able to just by drawing it against where your hairs are on your knuckle or something like that, you'll be able to feel that it's sharp again, and that by doing um, maintenance more often, you're not going to have this huge job when you get home of, you're rebuilding the whole damn thing when you get home again. Like it's just constant maintenance, like cleaning a rifle or anything. I mean, some people don't do that either, but um, yeah, I always recommend doing it often, and the guys don't have to. Like, I mean, I've got one of our one of the guys that we work with really constantly and send blades to. He processed like an elk, a moose, a billy goat, and I think 2 deer on a lynx blade, like that mounted series you have, Kyle. And he never sharpened it, but he sent it back to me to get sharpened, and it was like a butter knife. You wouldn't be able to even cut butter with it, but I mean, if that's your thing also, but it's if you need to, you can get a lot out of it. I recommend sharpening it lots. And a sharp knife is going to be safer. Like I always try and explain that to people also. It's when that knife gets dull that you start really pushing into stuff or really pulling on stuff, and next thing you know, you're cutting your knuckle, or you're cutting your misses that you brought out on a hunt or something like that, and that's not going to be good. So
Yeah. So in that scenario, you're out in the field, you're doing your field maintenance. You maybe have a camp day, you got lots of time you can spend on the blade, that sort of stuff. So now you're home, you're done, and it's the winter, right? You're sitting around. It's March 2nd. You got nothing better to do other than listen to our podcast, of course. What do you do for then? Like, so I'm sitting at home. Should I be sharpening that thing? Like, get a proper blade, or get a better ceramic rod, or what do you recommend for someone in the off season for maintenance?
I really recommend find a good company of ceramic. They call them like whetstones, or like some people call them like Japanese whetstones. And not to plug, but we have a kit that we're bringing that we'll be selling. But for any outdoorsman or anything like that, I really recommend them. They're an investment. They're going to be $350, something like that. But you're going to have them for the rest of your life, and that's exactly it. Take it down to 400 grit stone and reset that whole edge, create that burr on it, a really heavy burr, and then remove that burr and then refine it down, go like 400 grit, 1000 grit, And then I usually go about 1,500 for hunting knives and about 6,000 for kitchen knives. And but yeah, break that edge right down again. Go right down to 400 grit and reset that edge, because it's gonna turn into a foil where it wants to fold really easily over time, and you want to just clean slate it, just knock it down, redo it again. And so Nano Hone, if anybody's listening and actually cares and wants to buy a system, they have great stones that I use and all of our knives get sharpened on, and I really recommend them. But do the investment, learn how to use it. You're not going to be. Please don't run it through like a belt thing where you like all these companies like Worksharp and some of these guys have them where it's little tiny belts and you turn the thing on and you swipe your knife through it. Please, god damn, don't do that. Just send it to me. I'll sharpen it. In that case, you're gonna ruin it.
So if you get somebody and they have the proper system, they have nanostone, they can set their system up, and they could probably do that. They do that every fall, after every fall, and they're going to be set for life. They'll probably never need to send it back to you. They'll be set up. But if they're not doing that and they just have a simple little kit, every year or two, every few years, they're going to have to maybe send back to you and get it touched up. What's the approach to that?
Yeah, you have to go by how much you use it. Like, I
Right.
mean, there's some guys that, and not definitely everyone each in their own, but if you're only shooting maybe a deer a year or, small animal, the odd cat, wolf, something like that, just touch it up on, like I said, those ceramic rods, like from Worksharp, those little systems, or even a leather strop. So just a piece of leather with some buffing rouge on it and just reverse strokes against it to refine, just to hone that edge back together. And you can go a long time with it. Like, I mean, but other guys that are really using that blade, I recommend once a year, either like at the end of your season when you know you have a bit of time, like you said, you're getting cabin fever, just either send it back to me or else get to see or get the whole set and sit down and learn how to do it. It's gratifying, it's no different than learning to sharpen a chainsaw or sight in a rifle or anything. I think it's something. It's a skill that everybody should know how to do, just in case, kind of thing. But once a year is really solid. If you're using it hard, I'd say once a year, and you're never gonna wear that knife down. Like I've had guys that wonder and they're like, "Well, I don't want to sharpen it too much. I don't want to, I don't want it to be half the size." And it's like, well, that's like 25 years. You might, if you sharpen it every like 6 months, you might break the knife down to half the size. But yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk about a mountain hunting scenario. You've gone on goat hunts and like this isn't shooting an elk and having your truck nearby. You pull up. You're in the backcountry, and you talk to guys and guys are like, "Oh, I take 4 knives with me or 3 knives," and I know guys that actually take 3 knives, and I've kind of done the gamut. I've done certainly 2, sometimes maybe 3. I've never done 4, but last year I actually only carried my one knife with me. So what's your recommendation? Okay, for you personally, you're going out on a mountain goat hunt.
Yeah.
You get your LEH. You're going on your hunt. What are you going to take in that scenario? You taking 2 knives with you, or what's the plan?
No, I'll just take. I'm going to take a small caper. Is something that I'm going to take, and that's it. So something that uh, I'm okay processing a whole animal with a smaller blade and maybe having to touch it up halfway through, and then being able to cape that animal out with that same small blade. So, uh, and then for our mountain series, like one that I carried all last year was our Lynx blade. That same one you have, Kyle. That blade can handle everything. Like you use it to break down elk, and then you can cape it out after you're done. Also, I'm gonna bring one knife. That's it. If I know I'm going on some moose tour where I'm going to crush a bunch of animals, I might bring something more based around skinning, and then I'll have a blade where I can break the initial cuts down that you're cutting through hair, and then I might bring the links in and clean it all up after that. It's it's tough for me to say though, because it's really personal preference. Like you said,
Hmm.
there's some guys that they want a knife to break it down, and they want a knife for going around there, and then they maybe want a scalpel blade for when they're doing the caping and stuff like that. But my opinion is one small caping knife, and you're going to be able to handle absolutely the whole process of any size of animal.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I'm subscribing to that way of thinking too. I just, especially if you're hunting with somebody, you got 2 knives. And it's not something that it's a moving part that's going to fail. I guess the worst case scenario, you lose it, right? That would be the worst case. But if there's two of you, you still have the redundancy, right? So
Yeah, and I mean, and everybody focuses so hard, especially now. The whole focus is ounces, and ounces equals pounds, and trying to cut weight, cut weight, cut weight. And it's
Hmm.
like, well, you're cutting weight, and then like we're building you knives that weigh an ounce, and then you're bringing three of them, and it's like, well, what the hell's the point of that? Like, it's
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. So we've talked a little bit about the operational use of these. Now, I know you do a lot of custom work, and you've got your mountain series. You've got the Lynx, you've got the Puma, and now our new Stony, um, which we'll talk about in a minute. But let's go back to the talk about the custom aspect of things. I see a lot of guys on the internet are using your stuff. You do a lot of work for different guys. So somebody comes to you, they want a custom knife. Talk about that process and how that works. I haven't done the custom process with you, so talk us through. I come to you and say, Tanner, I want you to build me a custom knife. I want something special. How does that look, and what's that process?
so we've got I've got about a dozen permanent shapes that I offer to people if they don't have a shape in mind that they're like, oh, I want rebuild me this shape kind of thing. Then I'll say, we've got a whole line from caping knives to mid-size hunters, butcher knives, kitchen knives, filleting knives, everything. And so a guy will pick the shape. So whether it's a custom and I'll hand sketch it out, they have something or they want it really custom, or else pick one of the permanent shapes that we have. Then we'll go through and basically go off finish of that knife. So satin or mirror polish, and then go into do you want that heavy steel finger bolster, which some guys still really like. I don't know why, but some guys still like it. And then we'll go into handle material. So there's everything from we offer everything from mammoth ivory, Siberian mammoth ivory to walrus. We've got some stuff from Africa, like warthog tusks, stuff like that. Lots of exotic woods, synthetic. It's just a whole gambit. So I usually get people to explain what their primary focus is for that knife and what they're wanting out of it, and then we'll kind of cater to that. And then I mean, then there's hardware pins, like what color handles or what color pins you want, what color hardware, any liners on that, and then we'll get into the sheath work. So we do all of our sheath work in house also. So then we'll build that sheath around whatever a guy wants, whether it's they're going to be riding lots with and they want a cowboy sheath, or maybe they want something they can tuck under a hoodie or something like that, and we'll give them a
Hmm.
horizontal carry scout sheath. Or if they're just going really lightweight, we'll just put them in a guide sheath with no belt loop, and it's just protect that blade and stick it in the pack. Um, so it's really it's catered to build a blade exactly how somebody else wants it. So trying to build somebody's dream, and some people, they don't really know what they want. They just want a custom knife, and we'll kind of help them pick some stuff. And then we got some customers that know exactly what they want, and they're very particular about it, and they're very clear on what they want. So we kind of handle all of it, and we just do a real case by case scenario. And then, like I said, everything comes into play from like, are you right-handed, left-handed? Um, are you giving this to your son and you want him to use it all year? Or are you just sticking it on the shelf and you're just going to look at it? So
Right on. So somebody comes in, they want a custom build, um, and let's say it's not an existing shape you have, and you got to build it from scratch. So obviously there's going to be some artwork involved. They're going to have some
yeah.
weigh in on that. How long can that process take if the customer is pretty proactive about it?
So I've actually closed my books for 2021. So when I reopen them again, I'm about 3 months out on builds. And then as they start stacking up, once I announce that my books are open again, orders start kind of flooding in. And then I'll basically start booking out right into a year out. And then right after I'm booking at a year, then I'll close those books down again. So, if you get ahead of the pack, it's going to be, I say, I can build a knife quick if there's nothing else going on. But the fact of the matter is, like, we're building scabbards and these ultralights and everything else. So there's a lot of other shit that's on the bench at the time. So 3 months is going to be like the soonest that you're going to get a knife if you catch it right when our books open, and then all the way out to 12 months. And then there's some guys that they order like high-end museum pieces and stuff. I did a big Bowie knife, 13-inch Bowie knife last year, and it had like a full walrus tusk off the back end, double guards on it, and it was going to go sit on a guy's in a guy's personal museum, and that was 10 months, and like he started right from the beginning, and it was just so many. He wanted so many changes to it and the iterations, and then certain materials that had to come from Russia and all over. So it can take as long as the guy wants if he really wants to get picky with it. It can take a long time.
So something like that, somebody designs something, you draw it, you create the artwork around it. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. Where does it go from there? Like, how do do you have to create a mold around that, or how does that work in terms of that
So
aspect of it?
so I'll sketch it all out by hand on grafting paper, and then work with the customer once he's happy with it. Then I'll cut that out and create a steel template from it. So a um, thin tin template that I can work with, and then I can actually feel it in my hands and make sure it's 100% and actually going to work how the guy wants to. And I transfer that onto whatever steel we're actually using, and I'll work it out of that steel, cut it out and shape it and everything like that. And I'll profile that steel down. And once it's profiled down, we're not doing any heat treating in house right now. We're working to get that going, but I really need a bigger space to be able to do that, which we're trying to get into, and at least one other employee, if not two, to handle all that heat treating. So, anyways, I'll get it down to about 80% finished on those bevels and everything. Send it off to heat treat. Once it gets back from heat treat, then I'll go into just the finishing side of it, and so whether we're doing a hand finish or a mirror polish on it. If we're mirror polishing, I mean it's a lot of hours of building those grits up, getting all the way up to like 20. We'll go to like 20,000 grits is our final finish on that, and it creates that perfect mirror polish. So there's a few steps that go into it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, okay, cool. So can you talk a little bit, what guys are out there using the product, what's a common issue that guys run into? What I guess what and I I'm not asking you to expose your weaknesses as a business, but just what do guys have issues with it? Is it holding the edge? Is it is there other issues? What tends to be the biggest issue that you hear just in general from guys that are using knives out in the field?
Yeah, so I'd say 90% is just guys curious why a knife got dull. They're halfway through an elk and the knife got dull or something like that. Um, like we were talking about, we take our edges really thin, so we take it down to 12 thousandths of an inch. So it's a hairline blade that's
Wow.
really sharp, but it's if a guy's really cutting against bone or something like that, you are gonna dull that knife. Like, it's just take the time to not cut against bone, not cut through hair, stuff like that. Like,
It's not a chopper.
no, fuck.
Yeah.
I had a guy. It was like right when I started, and I was still doing this part time, and the business wasn't actually fired up or anything like that. I made a caping knife for him, and he fucking sends me an email, and he's like, "Hey man, yeah, your caping knife, it's snapped in half. I snapped the blade off of it." I'm like, "What?" It's like, "How?" Like, and I was like worried because I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, is the steel fucked up? Did I mess up the heat
Yeah.
treat? What happened? So I'm just spiraling. I'm like, "Well, send me a picture." She sends it, and it's clean, like cleaved straight off right at where that bevel is. And he's like, "Yeah, I was trying to open a 50-gallon drum with it and couldn't pop the metal lid off." I'm like, Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, it's not made for that. So, I mean, our warranty covers most stuff. I usually don't cover that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the biggest thing is we take our edges really thin. We want a high performing knife. We want a race car of a knife. So kind of if you're not paying attention, or if it's late at night or something like that, you might dull it by hitting against that pelvis or really scraping against
Hmm.
bone and stuff like that. You might dull it a little bit there.
Cool. Um, so now for you, for a business, you started out, you're crushing it. You got a really successful business. Where do you go from here, man? Like, so, and how do you evolve? Like, that's because you've created this, these great products. How do you stay current? I guess a lot of it's the artwork, new materials. Like, what where do you see the evolution of the business for you?
Um, yeah, it's late for the last 6 months. It's just been keeping up. To be honest, it was such a quick escalation in this business, which was not expected on my part, and yeah, it's just been keeping up, which has been great. But obviously, it has its downsides. So we're still working on lots of new. I don't want to give too much up, but we're working on a
Hmm.
line of, and I've kind of teased it a bit, of semi-custom knives. So where a guy there'll be like three handle options. They're not epoxy. They're just have bolts holding them together, like hex head
Oh
bolt,
yeah.
and they'll be in stock, ready to go for a guy. So they're not fully custom, but we'll have them in two different blade shapes, and guys will be able to say, I want, and they'll just be G10 handles, so it's a
Hmm.
synthetic based handle. So say, oh, I
Yeah.
want red, or I want black, or orange, and we'll pop those handles on and put them in the mail. So guys will have a more medium price point. I know our customs are high end, and the price reflects that, and I get that it's not practical for a lot of people. So um, it'll kind of be a midpoint between our mountain series. And then we're working on some new mountain series shapes also, which I'm really excited about. So their prototypes are done. They're going into testing this fall on bears. So I'm really, really excited, and we just really want to keep trying to change the game and not just produce more shit of just a little bit different blade shape, or somebody else came up with something, so we tweak it a bit and then put it out. Like, that's not what we want to do. We're not trying to flood the market with different crap. We want to
Hmm.
really change someone's system or how they're using stuff. So we there's more ideas than there are time right now, and lots of stuff on the kitchen side of it too, butchering and things like that. But and as for handling it, like, we're before COVID, I was really looking at getting into an industrial space. I wanted to have a small storefront, community spot, and be able to run, knife making courses out of the back end, and run sharpening courses and stuff like that. And it's 100% still on the radar. It's on the go. We just need this damn virus
Hmm.
to hit the road, and then we can kind of keep processing with that kind of stuff. And once we do that, I'll be able to bring a couple of apprentices in, which I really want to do. I want to bring in um, some guys, whether they're veterans, I want to get into it, stuff like that, or we're kind of open to anything. But we definitely are looking at expansion, and we want to, like, this year already, we're looking at hitting 500 of these mountain series, and then 100
Wow.
customs. And I'm going to keep the customs, will always be my baby that's under
Hmm.
my foot, but I'm happy to expand and start bringing other people in to build these mountain series and these semi-custom blades and shit like that. So there's lots on the radar, but yeah, we're hampered by this virus, it feels like. So
Well, that's awesome. The cool thing I'm hearing here, Tanner, is you're building a brand. You're not just building knives, right? And
yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's a pretty cool. It's you're building a community around it, which is fantastic. I think we need more of that in everything that we do, and something you believe in, something you're passionate about, and it resonates. Now, let's talk about uh, the work that you're doing in the community. You've been a fantastic supporter of the Wild Sheep Society BC. I see you supporting other organizations in the conservation world. I know you did mention it earlier, veterans. You do a lot of support there. Let's just talk about your philosophy around that and who you guys support.
So we donate 5% of our total sales, but before taxes, like gross sales, are 2.5%. They go to Wild Sheep Society BC, you guys, and then 2.5% go to the Wounded Warriors Project here in Canada. Um, it's always been my mindset that to be successful, you have to give back, and if we feel strongly about it. Like you said, I don't really know how to put it into words, but yeah, we feel lucky to be in the position where we can give back. So we feel like it's an obligation to do that. Not just an obligation, but we want to. And it's something that we're going to continue to push harder. So we've got some stuff going for you guys, Wild Sheep, and then we're starting to work with uh, Wild Sheep Foundation in Alberta and do some donations for them. Uh, and you know, we're kind of open to anything. We're not really boxing ourselves in for who we support and stuff like that. Whether it's we do a raffle to raise some money for XYZ, or there's some people that popped up in the hunting community, like that girl that had cancer, that Haley girl, and we're happy to donate to stuff like that. Like the we're lucky to be successful right now, and we want to keep that good good feeling going, and
Hmm.
really just try and spread the wealth as much as possible. And that's not going to stop. That's only going to expand. And um, there's lots of other stuff that I want to do with that kind of stuff um, in the veteran side of it. More bringing veterans into it and working. You see it lots in the U.S. with lots of opportunities for veteran employment, but we don't see it up here nearly as much as there
Hmm.
should be in my mind. So something I'm really looking forward to bringing some guys on board and trying to do more stuff around them, and bring them into the outdoor space. I think that's a big part of it. That something big that's on my radar that I'm trying to figure out how to do is run more courses for those guys that are dealing with stuff from overseas.
That's awesome, man. Hats off to you, and a lot of respect for that on both angles, the veteran side of things and your conservation leadership there too. And yeah, I just love seeing people step up, and so hats off to you and everything that you've done to support. Just absolutely privileged and honored to be associated with you. Now, so that kind of leads us to where we're going to talk. Let's jump into the Stony. So, you reached out to the society, we had some dialogue about doing this custom collaboration that you were going to create something around, wild sheep and work with us on that. So, if you don't mind, let's jump into that. Talk about the process. Talk about the knife, and I can talk a little bit about on sales and that sort of stuff. And so I'll let you jump off with that, Tanner. Talk about the Stony.
Yeah, so I was really excited to do that. I mean, I might have pushed it on you guys more than you guys wanted, but it was something I was really looking forward, really wanted to do and had in my head to bring a more sheep-based mountain knife to the market and bring it for you guys, or more around, I guess, your base, the people that are so committed to wild sheep. So yeah, we basically we started with the lynx blade, and we worked with you, Kyle, there on starting with the lynx blade, and then making some handle changes on it to shave some more weight down, make them even lighter, and make them more. We increased the mobility side of it, so we weren't worried so much about having to hack through large pieces of meat, but really do that fine work, caping in the dark and stuff like that, where it all matters. So we thinned that blade down, made it a little bit longer, and put a bull nose on it, so you can press that blade when you're in there caping in the nose or the eyelids or anything like that. You can do a forward press motion instead of just always sitting there cutting and hacking away at stuff. So it's just small changes that we made. Um, it's definitely functions a lot differently than the Lynx, but it was based on the same model. So we cut it down to we got it to 0.88 of an ounce for just the
Amazing.
blade by itself.
Wow. That's cool.
Um, built of Nitro V, that same super steel. It's a very hard steel. It's we finished off at Rockwell 62, which is um, a very high end on the hardness side of it. Um, and it's just meant to be a one-stop shop, so those guys don't have to bring a knife to butcher and then a really high-end scalpel knife to try and finish their cape off with. They can do the whole process with this, so they can break down that sheep, they can flesh off the hide when they're done with it, they can do all the fine caping work around the horns and in the mouth and everything like that. So um, and then we're offering the two sheath options. So this this scout carry sheath, which is a horizontal carry, it can fit on thin belts, like a pretty narrow size belts, like if guys have mountaineering belts or anything like that. But it was more built around putting it on a pack harness or bino harness, something like that. They can run it on their straps or under their armpit. I know guys like it there. And then we have, for just those really lightweight guys, we have the neck sheath, which we offer on all of our mountain series. But you can take the cord off that if you don't want to wear it around your neck. I like to have mine on my neck, and it sits there. August 1st hits, and it's pretty much, if I'm in the bush, it's between my base layer and my mid layer, and it just hangs out there all year long. So um, it turned out to be it actually caught me by surprise when we finished these blades off. How nice it ended up. Sometimes it's you got to go through a few different changes to the blade shape,
Hmm.
or I don't like this, but just right off the bat, it was, oh shit, that works perfect. Okay, well, go. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, we're feel super lucky to be able to pair with you guys on it, and really hoping that your guys' members and our customers will be happy with it. It's going to fit a niche, I think, to be able to, like you said, break it down so there's a guy's bringing one knife with them, no
Hmm.
more three knife bullshit.
Yeah, right on. Uh, Completion date, what are we thinking? Mid March to 15th, 20th, somewhere in there?
Yeah, 15th, 20th, we're right on board with that. As long as we have no wild Canada Post shipping to Uganda or something crazy like that, which has happened, then that's what we're hoping for. We've got everything's ready to go for them. Packages, sheaths are all basically done. We just need the blades here so we can form fit those sheaths around them. They're all so all the leather sheaths, they have a locking welt in them, so you don't lose that blade. You have to pull it to get it out. It's not just gonna fall out on you. So we just, as soon as the blades show up, we can finish those sheaths off, wrap them with paracord, and get them off to the guys. So that's what we're hoping for is March 20th at the latest. They'll be shipping out of wherever you guys are shipping them. We'll have them for you guys by March 20th.
Fantastic. Yeah, so anyone listening that's interested, we partnered with Tanner on this, so we had 30 knives, and they've been really successful. Like I said, less than zero point 0.9 ounces for the bear knife. We've had 4 different versions of it, and we're sold out of the no handle wrap with neck sheath, but we still have 3 versions left. There's a handful left, but we expect them on this pre-order. They'll all sell out prior to the pre-order being over. So we figured we'd offer them as a pre-order and then have them on our website. I don't think they're going to get there. Certainly some of them are going to be sold out. So yeah, it's been really successful. We've been really excited to partner with you guys, and I'm really excited to see these knives. It's
Hmm.
pretty
Yeah.
cool collaboration for sure. I love the name for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
nice that it's like you said, it's a limited time thing. So there's 30 of them made, and that's it. Unless you guys want to get some more next year or 2 years down the road. If not, then that that blade shape will get hidden away in the pile, and it's not something that's going to be offered again.
That's fantastic. Yeah, for sure. We'll put the show notes in there on how to get in touch with us if you're interested in them, and share that out with our listeners. Okay, so for you, anything on the horizon? I guess you're booked up a year in advance, so you got lots of work ahead of you. You don't need to worry about that. We see some new things coming down the pipe from you that you talked about, but we have to wait on those. So if somebody wants a custom, are you taking emails now? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you? They just have to wait.
Yeah, so you can still you can go on our website. So it's www.frontiersmangear.ca, and you can still put in an order form. So we have a blade build form on there if you're interested. You can go on there, you can build the form, and we'll get you a quote. And then basically, if you're interested, we'll put you on a contact list. So then once the year is done, we have our contact list with however many people have built up over the year, and we'll just start mass sending out those emails to whoever wants to get on the list first. So I definitely encourage people if they're still they might be interested for beginning of next year or something like that, still reach out because it feels surprisingly fast for us. So get ahead of that, and we always handle. We'll still if guys are interested about stuff, I love to talk about it. Obviously, it's basically my whole life now, aside from hunting. So if guys just want to chat about steel or knife or something they might be interested in the future, I'm happy to do that or to go over uses of it or really anything like that. Sharpening, we're really open about all that. So they can reach me through our social media. So it's just Frontiersman Gear. It's all one word, lowercase, or on our website. There is all the contact info, and then my personal number's on there. Guys, don't feel don't feel afraid to call or text anytime about it.
Right on. We'll put all that contact info in the show notes as well, Tanner. And for anyone that's listening, we have our Wild Sheep Salute to Conservation March 13th, 14th. I think this will be coming out the Friday before March 12th and 13th. So it'll be on March 12th. It'll come out, and we're gonna have some of Frontier's men's gear stuff available for that Tanner's fully donated to us for purchase on the or you can bid on our live auction stuff. So thank you again for supporting all that stuff too. So you're doing all this stuff, you're making cash donations, you're building stuff for us, and you're donating. So definitely above and beyond, Tanner, and we're just super grateful for everything that you do to support the Wild Sheep Society BC. So
No, I
thank you for
appreciate
that.
it, and I try and pump your guys' tires as much as possible because it's true what you guys are doing. There's truly no other organization, at least in BC, that's putting as much time into our ungulates and especially sheep. But and then especially with raising awareness right now for all the crap going on with the predator bans, which we probably don't need to get into at the end of this. But it's amazing what you guys are doing, and it's needed. So by supporting you guys, I mean it's the smallest thing that we can do to try and do our part.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, and you know, you mentioned the organization, and it's driven by our members, right? You're a life member, Tanner. You know, you reach out and say, hey, and you know, that's the funny thing is, yeah, we work on you with this nice stuff, but you're emailing me or you're texting me, like, okay, well, what else do I need to do? How can we drive awareness around this predator issue? And it's really our membership that's doing this. So I agree with you. I think I am biased, but I think we do have one heck of an organization. I think we're the best out there, and it's because of our members. They care, they're involved. They're people like you that are stepping up and they're getting involved day to day. And it's just across the board. You know, just people really care about BC. They care about our wildlife. They care about our wild sheep, and it's. I love my volunteer job because I get to work with people like this every single day that care so much. It's awesome. So
Yeah, it's an amazing community. It really is, and I encourage even non-hunters to get into it as much as possible because it is such a community aspect to it.
right on, man. Well, I think we've taken enough of your time. I'm sure you got some grinding or some designing to do,
Yeah.
so I won't take any more of your day. But really appreciate everything you do, Tanner, and you know, really thankful for the support that Frontiersman Gear has offered us and continues to do their part, as far as I'm concerned, really well across the conservation community. It's amazing. So.
Well, no, I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to watching the salute to conservation, seeing how good everything does.
Yeah, totally stoked. That's going to be fun for sure. So
Yeah.
awesome, dude. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks, you too.